The reality of what we perceive as depression no matter where you're at on any spectrum in life, any area in life, to recognize your value, to understand the aspects of yourself that you appreciate most, the aspects of yourself that you wouldn't trade for the world.
Which is quite a sweet treat. All paths.
Understanding this is a really great foundation, no matter where you find yourself. Even if you are somebody who has found yourself on this channel and is very much in alignment with joy fulfillment, with your values and what you know to be your worth, or you find yourself in a position that is not so desirable, is not so hopeful, does not necessarily believe in a light at the end of the tunnel. There is this inherent value that you may be aware of. Maybe it's not so apparent to you if you find yourself in a state of despair, you find yourself in a state of hopelessness. It is still there, and you might find just glimpses, you might perceive glimpses of that in moments, glimmers of hope, glimmers of your own self shining through, being that light at the end of the tunnel. Parts of you illuminating as that. Having this as your foundation on any journey, on any endeavor that you may find yourself pursuing or in the midst of, is key when it comes to resolving the perceived issue that we call depression, that we call hopelessness and despair and the many names that are masked by the word called depression. Everybody is... My alarm just went off. See, when you overcome a certain level of darkness and you overcome that sense of hopelessness and that despair, you very well may find yourself awake well before your alarm clock, excited to share those glimmers of light that you held on to for dear life. And I implore you to hold on to that light. because it is needed. And that's the thing, is like, people observe wonderful things in this life and don't realize that those wonderful things that you perceive, that you're able to perceive, are within you, are a part of you. When you focus your energy upon those aspects, they are expanding naturally. The way you focus on these things will determine the way in which these things expand in your life. And so, if you ever found yourself in a position where you were not celebrated, and not only this, you were ripped away from that pure energy, that pure delight, that pure enjoyment, that feeling of fulfillment, those aspects of yourself that still give you hope even now when you're in the midst of the most intense challenges or the darkest despair. Realize in this moment, or realize once again, that aspect of yourself that you were forced away from were so valuable and priceless. There were aspects of yourself that no matter how hard somebody tried taking away from you, they could never be taken. And it is very likely that if you find yourself in a state of despair, in a state of depression, you are perceiving yourself in such a way as to be separate from those aspects of yourself. As if you were ripped away from that and you never found your way back, and inevitably succumbing to the reality that it will never come back. But I'm here to tell you that the reality is that it never went anywhere. And if you find yourself watching this particular video, from a position of just now coming to that awareness, or just now coming to the awareness that perhaps you were removed from those aspects of yourself, or you know somebody who was removed from those aspects of yourself, because again, oftentimes we are in the supportive role, and this creates stress. This can create despair in our own lives. Everything is connected. I would like for you to start allowing that awareness to just settle in. Sometimes you do not need to do anything. You really don't need to do anything. Actually, doing less serves a lot more when you are coming into awareness of something, or allowing somebody to do less and they are coming into awareness. What you see on the surface is only but a fraction of what is happening beneath that surface. There is a reason why the mighty trunk grows from a small seed. And that reason is within you. So allowing that to simmer, allowing that awareness to be not only present and nurtured in stillness, but celebrated. You can celebrate that. You can celebrate that by doing absolutely nothing. You can celebrate that by doing something kind for yourself. When I work with anybody, the first thing that we do is drop into a state of appreciation for ourselves in solitude. Understanding that you are the creator of every experience in your life, whether it be positive or negative. And when we go forth, we work with one another in such a way as to harmoniously move in the direction that feels more in alignment with your soul, with your wellness, more in alignment with whatever it is the intentions. To do so from a foundation of reconnecting and rekindling that inspiration, that natural inclination that you felt as a child. Those things that brought you much joy and laughter in your life, allowing that to be the foundation of the experience that we have with one another. Will allow for a more effective result. But again, awareness, coming into the awareness of that alone is so powerful. And to underplay becoming aware of something, to not celebrate that win, is to rob yourself in the same way that you may have been when you were stripped of that joy. Which you did not deserve that. And often we are convinced that we deserve that. And we aren't even convinced by the people who perhaps put us in that situation. We are convinced by the conditioning that we undergo within the world. But you can recreate a world within yourself. You can allow that to emanate outward, and you can exist in a world that is actually harmonious, not only within and in of yourself, but relationally. And it is a very different energy and frequency to be in when you're listening to what I am expressing to you, and then to simultaneously be existing in a state of despair that can be or that can feel unstable. But the main thing that I am conveying in this message is that I don't believe that it should be unstable. I truly see that everybody has this inherent value that is unable to be fully perceived by the other, simply for the fact that I'm not you and you're not me, and I'm me and you're you, which is a beautiful thing. And I just want to take it all the way back. And this is something that I learned when I was in school, when I was studying nursing. It's that if you were different in a certain time period, if you were different, if you thought differently, if you behaved differently, naturally, you were not only experimented on or forced to conform, you were tortured into submission. And if you didn't submit, then you were terminated. This was not that long ago. And as a matter of fact, this is still happening. Nobody deserves that. But that is a reality. That is something that is one of the many sources of this epidemic, which is unacceptable. And it is understandable why one might feel some type of way. Yes, it is your responsibility as an adult or as a child who grew up fast to resolve this. That is why I'm here to assist you in that process. In any of the ways that that might be still present in your experience. Like I said, you don't have to be even anywhere remotely near that position for the information that I'm sharing with you to benefit you in a profound way. It doesn't even have to be that serious. I'm just in that mood because it's that time, right now. So I appreciate you guys for watching. And I'm curious if you guys can hear the rain. The Black Airbender, he has this one video about the rain. It's like water breathing in the rain or something like that. I don't know. I'm going to put it in the descriptions and you guys can watch it. But I really love it because I'll wake up and the first thing I'll do when I wake up is put on a few meditations, and then I lead myself into one of his videos. It's a good way for me to start the day. And whenever it's raining like this, I usually put it on and become one with the rain. Become one with the living water that courses through your veins, that is communicating with you. Don't underplay being a human being. Don't underplay yourself. Don't underplay it. Don't overlook it, and allow this to allow you to really rekindle that relationship that you once had with yourself. So that is all I can do. I can only point you in that direction. I can't do that for you, but you could do it for yourself. And surely you will to do just that if you are here. So, thank you. Grabbed it and put it backwards, and I was triggered. Like, it was and I just, all these emotions of anger, and like, I just wanted to stab her, And low-key as fuck. Not enough for her to turn around and be like, oh, I oughta, but enough for her to feel the vibrations. Well, she felt the vibrations. Whatever. Anyways. In my triggeredness, I was able to... Well, that's a whole nother conversation I'll talk about later. But in my mind, with what I've learned, I've come to realize that this idea of good and bad, although it exists, there's a realm or perspective that you can embrace that involves, just being the neutral observer and not labeling and not judging. And I think that's a primary example of like how I had that opportunity to really take a look at what my soul's purpose is. And it was a challenge because, she was a raging bitch. No. But that's kind of how I felt in the moment, because it was a trigger, and I just learned something today about triggers, and it gave me a whole new appreciation for the word. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, trigger, trigger, trigger. And, I've always been like, yeah, cool, trigger, like, that's awesome, cool word. But no, I got a new understanding for the word trigger. And it's an opportunity for you to face the root of an emotion that has created a state of being that you do not prefer. So the trigger in this case was this woman kind of disregarding. It's like a blatant disregard, and not only a blatant disregard, but a delusion. When you're triggered, it's triggered not from that particular thing, but from something that was stemmed way earlier on in life. You may not even remember. It might only be in your subconscious mind. It might be a memory that's been blocked out for